Welcome to the show. This episode is brought to you by TruVis, and we have with us Rohit Kumar, the founder and CEO at TruVis. TruVis helps enterprises unify their data lineage, quality, observability, and governance into a single intelligence platform, emerging every team to act with confidence, ensure compliance, and meet regulatory standards without relying on guesswork. Uh, Before we dive in, here is a quick roadmap for our conversation, Rohit. Uh, we will start by exploring your journey and origins of your work in the complex space. Then we
Yeah.
will shift to current perspective on industry, the challenges you're navigating, and uh, what's working well. Finally, we will uh, look ahead to your vision of the future. Uh, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. Would be
Okay,
fun.
great. So let's start by talking about the origin of how you came out with the concept of starting TruVis. Could you share a bit about what first drew you into the world of data governance and lineage? What was the initial problem you set out to solve?
Well, that's a great question. And let's start by introducing myself. So, hi, I'm
Absolutely.
Rohit. I am CEO of TruVis. TruVis is actually turning one this 14th of Feb. So, a company started on Valentine's Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
And it's my
Interesting.
birthday too.
Oh,
So,
cool. Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you so much. So, why TruVis? So before starting TruVis, I have extensive experience of working with banks, and so are my co-founders. Right?
Mhm.
Actually, we are all part of a single team, which I was leading as a global head. Uh, in my last few projects, I was building a trade store, right? And it
Mhm.
was very interesting that we built huge trade store that was built on a low code, no code platform. It could process millions and millions of transactions without any issue.
Mhm.
But whenever there was a regulatory issue, right, the pain would start. It would take long time to evidence, yes, we have done the right thing. If we are not at fault, the entire journey was tiresome,
Mhm.
right? Then we as group, the founders, we started thinking, what if we could develop a tool for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Which helps solve an industry problem which each and every bank is going through, right?
Mhm.
Because this is a pain every regulation would have had. And the point is that you have a data record that was done somewhere 3 months in the past. Somebody comes out 3 months later and says, oh, this is right or wrong. Can you evidence
Mhm.
it? Now the
Right.
data flows through n number of systems, right? So it starts somewhere else, it ends somewhere else. Now, what it adds to the complexity plane is heterogeneous technologies that come into picture. So you
Mhm.
might face sovereign
Right.
cloud, you might legacy technologies. How do you stitch all of that together?
Absolutely.
And as the systems are developed in silos, no one understands how one data interacts with the other one, right?
Mhm.
You might mean, say, a column name is X somewhere, it turns to A in another application, it turns to C in another application. How do you get to know that? And that becomes difficult to prove.
Right.
What if we could automate? And those were the ideas that we started with, that the founding was, can we evidence? Then it started auguring a larger question. Do I trust my data? Yes, I have processed millions and billions of transactions. Do I
Mhm.
trust my data? Can
Right.
I say everything that I've processed is fine? That's where our journey started. That's where we started thinking what all that you encompass together, stitch them as a story, and say, okay, now I trust my data. Can I put a number to the trust?
Mhm.
Absolutely yes. And these were the things that started churning in our mind fine, should we be doing something else, right?
Mhm.
Should we be developing a solution that helps banks at large? And that became the inception of TruVis. And that's where we started developing TruVis as a solution for everyone. We looked at banks as a problem, but when I look at industry, you look at supply chain, there is a regulation to look at. You look at
Right.
banking, there is a regulation to look at. The
Mhm.
data privacy, India is going to DPDP. There is BCBS, Basel,
Right.
there is
Right.
CFTC in US. Everyone has regulations.
Right. Cool. So, in continuation to that, looking back, what was a pivotal moment or insight that shaped your approach to building TruVis?
Right. So when we decided that we want to solve a problem, right? So we, because we had lived the pain, we had an idea validated, but it was difficult to pull off because we had to navigate through various different technologies to
Right.
get uh, to the real lineage, right? So
Mhm.
how do you get the interactions? How are different cloud databases interacting? As Databricks getting through? If there is
Mhm.
data in Databricks ecosystem, how
Right.
Snowflake? I mean, what about DB2 and Netezza? What about
Right.
Oracle, Postgre? There is so much of technology that we wanted to. So we wanted to come up with a framework that we could stitch that together. That is when the team, I mean, we as founders, we came through. We figured out that yes, let's piecemeal, let's start with one problem at a time,
Mhm.
solve it, right, and then move forward, and then do a small POC, right? We always believe every small idea, you do a small POC, validate you it's technically possible, then you get out on the journey to conquer the larger quest, right?
Mhm.
And that's what helped us move forward.
Sounds good. Appreciate that. In the industrial, with respect to industrial perspective, what major shifts are you observing in how organizations are approaching data quality and compliance today?
Uh, okay. Huge shifts. So if you would see what has creeped into our world lately is AI, right? Now
Mhm.
AI has become a very big notion, and everyone is after AI. That AI should augment in their projects and help. But the staggering figures are MIT says, Gartner says, more than 80-90% of the projects are failing.
Right.
This was something that we had already preempted, right?
Mhm.
The problem that we always thought was mm, not the data itself, right? The data discipline.
Right.
And that's when we coined the word that there has to be a discipline through the data, right?
Mhm.
How do you arrive
Absolutely.
at the discipline, right?
Mhm.
When you understand your data completely, when you understand how they interact, how they move, how they transform. So we wanted to basically go from a black box system where all of this was black box across system to build a glass box transparency,
Mhm.
right? What that would inherently do, excuse me, is increase data trust,
Right.
right? And we actually wanted to increase the trust in the system, right? And the AI has done a pivotal shift. So what we actually did, because we built trust in the data, right, with
Mhm.
industry, what we developed, now since we understand your data, who uses it, when was it coined, what was your source, we actually went ahead and developed a context engine for AI,
Mhm.
right? So we growing with the industry and looking at what we could preempt through these researches, we also came up with the concept of knowledge graphs and context engines, which actually helps uh, other enterprises be AI ready and be successful in all their AI implementation. Because the idea is the AI is stronger when you make it learn your own real estate, when it
Right.
knows what you're talking about. The
Mhm.
basic problem of hallucination is you have not taught AI enough to understand your real estate,
Yeah.
and that's why it gives misleading answers.
Exactly. Sounds good. So next question, in your view, what's the biggest misconception people have about achieving true data observability?
Okay, data observability, if you see it, it's a vast ocean. There's so many things to look at, right? There,
Hmm.
if you're looking at VMs, you have VM statistics to look at. You could look at freshness from a perspective of what freshness is, right? Is your data not stale, right? That's the major question that you are trying to ask. Have you received the data today? Feeds and banks have massive feeds that are coming. It's
Right.
a center where if you start drawing how many interfaces are coming in and going out, that becomes a complete mess, right? When I was
Hmm.
at HSBC, there's thousands of applications running right across, and that's the large scale of every large bank that you would see, right?
Hmm.
That
Right.
means observability becomes centrally important. But where we think the balance should come is, currently we have all of these working in silos, right? Observability in itself does not make a lot of sense, but it makes a lot of sense when you combine it with lineage and quality. Why? Because probably you will be able to say, looking at observability, that I did not receive the data,
Hmm.
but you stop there.
Right.
If you're purely looking at observability, what if
Hmm.
you club it with quality and lineage? With lineage, you will be able to say what was the impact
Yep.
if you did not receive it.
The
With quality,
historical.
you
Yeah.
will be able to see downstream what exactly did it impact,
Right.
right? So those
Absolutely.
those are the questions that needs to be tagged together, and we that's why you would see we always talk about a unified platform that brings all of these together, because when all of these data come together, they become a definition which is easily understandable. It helps your diagnostics, it helps your impact assessment, it prepares you for what is going wrong,
Absolutely.
right? So we want all systems to be proactive, and we don't want observability to just be something where you are reacting to situations.
Exactly. So let's move to growth and systems. As TruVis scales, what operational challenges emerges when integrating new data sources or expanding into new regulatory environments?
Yes. So regulations are something. If you would see the way AI is going right now, regulations, currently there are so many regulations. If I see country wise, there are more than 200 regulations which we could actually start talking about, right?
Hmm.
But these are regulations on data trade systems. But with AI, if you would see the AIs, people are generating code using AIs,
Right.
right? That is getting hacked because it's a security risk, which is
Hmm.
getting ignored while people are doing vibe coding, right?
Hmm.
So what we see as a growing challenge, and and as we envision, right, the the regulatory and the cyberspace is
Hmm.
going to be flooded with new problems across the globe, because what people have started using is what they have these are the risks that they have not envisioned, right?
Hmm.
And that's why latest agentic frameworks are getting hacked, right? Because they are keeping the
Right.
passwords out there to
Absolutely.
be hacked, right? So
Hmm.
these security risks will soon turn into regulations, which will start coming back. And while we are scaling, we will have to look at this aspect of regulation and be prepared for what near future unfolds for us, right? As we know, right, currently human traffic of internet has gone down in comparison to what AI agent traffic is, right?
Right.
Definitely we need regulations and on these spaces also, plus
Very
the
good point.
cybersecurity threat, which looms large, right? So
Absolutely.
it's an
Absolutely.
uncharted territory.
Great. When you think about ensuring data quality across diverse systems, where do you typically see the most significant points of friction or manual effort within organizations?
Yes, data quality. The major challenge when we started looking at huge amount of data, and we look at data quality perspective, the biggest challenge is identifying where to put a data quality.
Hmm.
That takes a massive effort, right? Because that building that requirement that this particular field in my database requires a data quality check, it itself becomes a project in every bank,
Hmm.
right? And any
Absolutely.
large organization,
Right.
right? Because somebody has to go down there, analyze the data, and identify, is there a quality break, right? So those are the real challenges in data quality where identification takes time. Probably once we have identified, solution could be pretty standard, right?
Mhm.
But the larger cycles are identification. Until date, it was a lot manual, right? So where we see, and that's what, if you would see what we do at TruVis is do that quality checks all autonomous. You don't
Mhm.
require to have manual efforts in data quality. These are rules which are autonomously done. You have agents that pick up and tell you where to put your rules, right? Make your life easy. And that's the effort with which we build systems, because what we want is everyone in the bank, it becomes easy for them to go through their normal processes if it is automated, and they can put their energies to automating, getting to new businesses and looking for those, right? So we want their day jobs to be rather easier and comforted because everything is automated, and they can now continue on looking at new businesses as an opportunity.
Right. Sounds great. Uh, what processes are currently in place to ensure ongoing compliance with evolving data regulations, and where do those processes feel most strained?
Currently, I think so. One of the biggest challenge every organization, if you would see, right, regulatory is an industry that is growing really. I think so. It's 21% year on year, which is the growth in regulatory market,
Hmm.
right? They are growing because there are larger penalties. You see large banks paying penalties on regulatory use cases.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where they're feeling is one that we started talking about was heterogeneous lineage. How do you track data traveling through different systems, right? So moving from a black box system to a glass box system. That
Right.
is first. Second is evidencing, right? When
Hmm.
somebody comes as an auditor, his first question is, can you evidence that these three things happen until the data was transformed and sent to the regulator? That's where the issue starts. And
Hmm.
these are the challenges that we really need to automate, address, so that everyone's lives becomes easy. That's basically the goal, which Truist starts with.
Very good.
Yeah.
If you could streamline one internal workflow related to data management or governance, uh, which one would have the most profound impact on efficiency and um, confidence?
I think so. The biggest area that we see, and that's why we have compliance as one of the foremost pillars that we are looking at. Because if you lose compliance, right, you
Hmm.
lose trust, right? It's just not the trust. You are at a reputational risk, right? There is a trust deficit amongst your customer. There is a financial risk already
Hmm.
with regulators, and there have been a couple of instances where we have seen systems failing and regulators fining heavily to banks, right? uh,
Hmm.
and one of my stints, I was actually, for a large part of it, I was working with regulatory reporting across the globe, right, for OTC trades. So that's where
Right.
we had seen this problem, right,
Hmm.
where it has a lot of trust deficit and a financial implication. Now, this is where we every bank tries to invest and automate, but we currently do not have an automated solution. This is
Right.
where we need to improve, give the business owners a trust into their hand, a solution where they could look how their solutions, how their systems are doing, how their assets are performing, are they compliant or not? What if they give this visibility? What if we bring a glass box transparency to the people who actually own the business? It's very funny when we work at a bank, there is a business and an IT team, right?
Hmm.
Bringing coherence to both of them becomes difficult because their objectives are different. What
Right.
we want to bridge with this application is bridge that gap, bring them closer, bring them on a common language, right? And that's why one of the things that we do is we generate context for them, make it in a layman language so that they can even understand the functional aspect of the technical columns, which
Right.
generally they are missing right now.
Great. Actually, your answer nicely ties into the next topic, which is team and leadership. How do you foster a culture within your team that prioritizes both innovation and rigorous compliance in data management?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and we we do few things very differently here. So at TruVis, we still believe reading books are pretty important.
Hmm.
So we as founders, we buy books for all our folks, and we encourage them to read. In this
Hmm.
world of AI, when a lot of things could be just done through AI,
Right.
which is of course that we do, but we really want the core backbone to be engineering specific and understand the nuances of what you're trying to do, right?
Absolutely. The
So
concept, yeah.
the concepts are pretty important.
Hmm.
That's the backbone of any product company. And as a product company, these we always have a 4 hour innovation always kept for every member, right? Of a week, right? So that
Hmm.
is something that they dedicate to innovation, and we leave that innovation space not for the company. We don't care where you invest, but you need to prove us that those 4 hours in a week you have invested in innovation. That could be a project for the company, outside the company does not matter, right? But
Absolutely.
we give innovation that space, and everyone to actually go ahead and look into that space and work. So that fosters a lot of innovation with building library around, and actually we read, and we actually inculcate that habit of reading into our developers and leaders. What we have got into a culture where everyone is reading and trying to learn new things, not
Hmm.
only coping with AI, but also coping with how leadership skill goes, how do you do time management, what are the best practices. So we do all of this collectively as a team to maintain that innovation sits at the heart of it, right? And
Hmm.
as I said right before, that the data discipline at our company, discipline is given uttermost priority at everything. And that's how, once you have a disciplined workforce, getting things in order becomes much more easy, right? So
Absolutely.
that's our way of actually working, and probably till now it has been working, right? And hope so it
Absolutely.
works in the future.
Sounds great. So, what's the most significant challenge you have faced in aligning different departments like legal, IT, and business units around a unified data strategy?
Okay, that's an interesting one, and we had huge challenges. So, given the entire founder team is thoroughly technical,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
One of the one of the challenges was for us to switch our mindsets, right?
Right.
So you suddenly were an employee, and heads running departments or people running projects, right? You have a
Hmm.
certain perspective. When you come out of an organization and become a leader, right? And starting a startup means putting all small pieces together, from infra to everything, right? That's where our journey started, when we started putting all of this together and realized that when you start piecemealing these many functions, there is a lot of miscommunication that starts happening,
Hmm.
right? Misalignment, the information does not pass correctly, right? There is information withholding.
Right.
And these we started encountering while we were 3 months, 4 months into our journey, right? Then we sat,
Hmm.
as leadership, we thought this is a problem. And that's one good thing about our leadership. We could actually talk about difficult things rather easily. So we
Right.
thought about that, fine, let's here is lion in the room. What do we do about it?
Right.
Then we came up with a small proposal that let's follow a sync up meeting, right? And the idea is that nobody speaks in that meeting for more than 2 minutes,
Right.
right? So we have a rule where you come into a meeting, your updates has to be just 2 minutes. You sit, you catch up
To the
for
point.
10 minutes,
Yep.
and you're done. Every day we catch up,
Right.
we run in the morning, we come here, we catch up for 10 minutes, we are done. We are all in sync. So that
Stand up
really,
fashion.
yes.
Sounds good. That's great. So let's move into the next topic of client experience. Uh, when clients first come to TruVis, What are their most urgent pain points related to data lineage or governance that they are trying to solve?
Okay, so we have interacted with a lot of clients, we have worked with clients, and the major problem that they would start coming up with is heterogeneous lineage is where a lot of their pain point is, right? And
Hmm.
then the other thing that they picked up was DQ, right? And a lot
Hmm.
of them said that yes, we know DQ is important, but we don't know how to turn around on DQ,
Right.
right? What if somebody wants to, a business user wants to do a DQ? Because the problem is he understands business, somebody understands technical, and that process becomes a large project in itself. These were the
Hmm.
two major challenges that clients came to us with. And then we showed them frameworks, right? We actually demoed them how we have an open flexible foundation, because what we understand from banks is if you look from an industry perspective, everyone has invested in one tool or the other. They
Right.
know that they need to get an output, right? And that tool, say you had 10 problems, that is addressing four of it.
Hmm.
What we say is, let's not worry, we are not there to compete with anyone, we are there to augment everyone, right?
Right.
So we plug in with that application, and whatever gaps they have, we say rest we will fill it. So what we started doing was not being competitor to anyone, but being a buddy to every application they were. So if they were
Right.
using, say, an application for doing lineage, right, but they were still not getting a lineage for a very deep tool that was not standard, we will help
Hmm.
them do that. We'll say we'll
Right.
feed that, we will process all of that, feed that into your application in a format so that your users are compliant and it helps you grow, right? So a lot of people have done a lot of shopping because they needed these things on urgent basis, but because that extensible platform is not covering anything, they still have gaps, right? So it's like you had a problem this big, you have now sorted some parts here, some parts here, some parts here. We are the one who is connecting the entire pipeline and giving them a single view and bringing that to life. So that helps. And in terms of DQ, what we are giving them is autonomous DQ. So
Hmm.
now we say you don't need to worry. System will tell you, ask your AI buddy, what should I do? And he will come to your rescue and you will have
Right.
the rules to validate.
Okay. So, what's a common aha moment clients experience when they realize the full potential of unified data intelligence platform?
Right. A lot of clients now started it. So when we started a lot of discussion with the client, they said, "Oh, we already have this, we already have that,"
Hmm.
and then we start asking, "It's okay, but then there are different people, there are different matrices.
Right.
How do you correlate that information,
Hmm.
right?" And when we ask this question, that's where the aha moment starts coming. Then
Right.
they realize, okay, what they're missing is that yes, I have different ingredients, but I have still not cooked my vegetable, which I
Hmm.
can eat it in a spoon, right? So when they realize that what we are giving them is not separate vegetables, but a
Hmm.
complete cooked recipe, which they can just gobble easily and get
Right.
everything that they needed as nourishment, that's where the aha moment comes.
Sounds good. How do you measure success for your clients beyond just technical implementation? What does acting with confidence truly look like for them?
Perfect. So let's talk through with an example,
Hmm.
right? And on this particular aspect, say you there was a production issue, right?
Hmm.
Right now, you don't have a TrueFlow as a system, right? What is going to happen is now that production guy will try to contact somebody and figure out who owns this application,
Hmm.
where the problem is, what the problem is. He will try to talk to them, try to call three, four guys, understand what has happened. And then from them, he will ask analysis. Now, what if you failed? Where all else my impact is?
Right.
Now, this is a challenge every operation teams goes through every day,
Absolutely.
right? Now, this problem can just be solved because now you have a lineage. You know, if it breaks here, everything that is got down from here will get impacted.
Right.
He does not have to run, ask. He can just say, fine, I know this is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's for an operations guy. What for a business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we do actually is when we process everything, we we build different data products, right? And we give that view to the business owner. That means at any point in time, a business owner can look at every asset he owns. Does he want to? Does he have to? No. But what if he wants to launch a new market and wants to really look at how I could do that? He could actually assess his real estate. He could compare if he owns two different real estates that, okay, how's my one real estate performing against the other, right? That power he does not have right now. We want to give that power to the business owners that this is
Mm-hmm.
this is how you have control of everything that you own, right?
Right.
Think it like I mean, in Indian government, they're talking about putting properties on blockchain so everyone can view what is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or probably a Bitcoin on a ledger. You already know who transferred who
Right.
money to whom, right? Every time. That's exactly what the transparency for a business owner needs to be. He should know
Right.
every asset that he wants to go down to, and we want to give that
Absolutely.
out to the business owner.
Mhm. Great. So that brings us to the final topic of future outlook. Uh, Looking 5 years ahead, how do you see the landscape of data governance and observability evolving, and what role will AI play?
Um, 5 years from now, I think so. There will be a radical shift as we discussed, right? Because AI is taking over, right?
Hmm.
Standard governance might start withering, and we might have to look at AI governance because agentic AI will be all over, right?
Right.
What we believe the coding will be done by AI agents, and that's why having governance at agentic level will start becoming so much more important. Knowing which agent is running what, right? Is
Hmm.
there a new agent that popped into my real estate?
Right.
Those will be the aspects that people will be looking at, right? Uh, with that AI governance, I think so is going to be the next big thing, probably couple of years down the line. We're slowly seeing AI governance council talking about it, but we have still not seen strict regulations. But I definitely feel 5 years down the line, we could see AI governance as one of the major markets that
Major.
people will be
Yep.
looking at.
Hmm. Great. What's one aspect of TruVis's long-term vision that excites you the most?
At, at TruVis, what we want to do is we we don't want to be a technology product, right? What excites us most is what we want to do is we want to solve a business problem through technology.
Hmm.
That's at the core heart of TruVis that I enjoy the most. So the idea is not to come here and develop a technical marvel. The idea is to develop products which actually help people in their daily life and make it easier.
Hmm.
That's what. And being working at bank for pretty more than 2 decades, I really feel uh, for the bankers and the people at bank, and I really want we at Truvis really want to help them as much as we could, make their life simpler, make the governance simpler, right? And that's something that we are looking forward to delivering day in and day out.
Great. As a final question, Rohit, you have shared a compelling vision of TruVis and the future of data intelligence. You look at business today, what is single heaviest anchor dragging down progress toward the future goal of empowering every team to act with confidence and ensure compliance?
Right. What we what we feel is the basic ingredient that is missing is context, right?
Hmm.
By context, what we mean is basically understanding your data. So one of the feature when I talk to my dev team is I tell them that you have made a brilliant design if you can explain it to a schoolboy and he understands it,
Hmm.
right? if we can break down the complexity of the systems into context which are easily understandable by human, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is when you have a glass box transparency into your system. You have more control over your data and more trust in your decisions, right? As of now, there are petabytes of data that gets produced every year, right? This humongous data everyone is spelling out. Are we validating each of it? Absolutely no.
Right.
We cannot. The amount of data that is generating is huge, right? And it is not going to go down with quantum computer around the corner. I think so. This is taking another leap, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what we feel is, if we break down the complex ecosystems into context that is easily understandable, that will be a big game changer for everyone. And that's why, if you would see, every major CEO today in data world is talking about context engine being $1 trillion market, because
Right.
everyone has understood that the success of data depends on your data discipline and the understanding of your data in very plain and simple words. These two present will help the maturity of your data, and with that understanding, moving forward will become much more easier and much more assertive.
Right. Uh, that brings us to the end of the truly insightful conversation with Rohit Kumar from TruVis. Rohit, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and giving us a deeper understanding of how TruVis is shaping the future of data governance and lineage space, including observability, governance, compliance, etc. It's clear that your work is making a significant impact for business looking to optimize their data strategies. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Shabazz. That was really great. I enjoyed really talking with you, and hopefully, we will keep delivering with TrueS, and we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So that would
Thanks.
end our session. And until next episode, goodbye, everyone.